Welcome back to the 5 Fantasy Football Show. Look who's finally back in the building. Found your voice again?
I finally got my voice back. I was on a no-show last week because I lost my voice. But the main thing is, what was that supposed to mean?
I think you were faking it. And then suddenly she's had a good game week and she's back in the building.
It's not a coincidence. No, it is a coincidence. We both had quite a good game week.
Well, all right. Not too bad. Not too bad.
And we both captained Harry Kane.
One of us did it deliberately though, didn't they, Liv?
No.
One of us did it deliberately. I chose to captain Harry Kane. You forgot to change it to Haaland.
No.
I saw the tweet. We all saw the tweet. We'll put the tweet on screen now.
Hear me out. It took a lot for me to even put the captaincy. I made the decision to put the captaincy on Harry Kane because I couldn't decide between Kane or Haaland.
So why did you want to change it back?
Because I was going to bottle it. But I'm so glad that I completely forgot there was an early deadline. It was like half an hour too late.
Huge.
And I was like, do you know what? And it went in my favour. But this was actually I got 60 points. I think that 45, 46 was the average. I keep telling everyone it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm glad I've got a decent score when everyone else was pretty rubbish.
That's a good score, 60, I think. Yeah, I got 57. Not too bad as well. I think you had Mitro, didn't you?
Had Mitro. My back, do you know, I think I've been bought in Pope and Trippier not long ago, and since I bought them in, they just hadn't. But they hadn't returned. Pope hadn't kept a clean sheet in a couple of games, and I was thinking, and the double up. I don't like doubling up, but I did.
Okay.
But this game week it did pay off. I think 4 of my back 5, including my goalkeeper, got 6 points. So that was where I got my points. But overall, a good game week.
Absolutely. I mean, lots to chat about. I think we'll start with Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. Let's start with Mo Salah because obviously scored the only goal in the game against Manchester City, of course, picked up all 3 bonus points as well. Now, do you think he is someone that we need to now be trying to get back in our teams?
Absolutely.
Even though it's only off the back of one good Premier League game?
Don't care. He's got enough credit in the bank for me, Mo Salah, that if there is a route for you back to Mo Salah, given Liverpool's fixture list, I think you should be taking it, especially if you've got the option of KDB switch out for Mo Salah this week with KDB having a blank game week because of the Arsenal postponement. I would be thinking about going directly KDB to Salah.
But then if you don't have KDB and you've got someone and you've got like us, we both have Harry Kane. Now, I know you shouldn't look too much, like you shouldn't look back and go, oh, but to me, there's 2 men there, one of them who's been in form since the first day of the season, scoring every single week, and if not, getting a couple of assists. And there's one who's had 1 good game week. Now, I know to me, I always go form over fixtures. And to me, Harry Kane, despite Spurs not even playing that well, seems to be scoring every single week. Now, Liverpool have obviously got West Ham at home this midweek, but then they've got Forest and Leeds. And that there is where potentially people could opt for maybe Kane to Salah, but I just don't know if I've got that in me yet.
I know what you mean. It's really, really tough, isn't it? Because every time I've wanted to go to Salah, I feel like he's let me down on that next game week. So then I've kind of been burnt and just opted just to stick with Harry Kane. And Harry Kane is delivering every single week. He's on course for another 30-plus goal season. I don't think there's a reason to move away from Harry Kane right now. There's also problems with the rest of the Liverpool front line, isn't there? We know Diaz is injured. Jota looks like he's going to potentially even miss the World Cup now following that calf injury. So are there other assets you're thinking about at Liverpool? Because they are probably going to pick up some form now. Big win against Rangers midweek. That felt like a turning point in the season yesterday against Man City. Maybe it's not even going forward. I'm tempted by Trent, given Reece James's injury. Yeah,
I mean, you've still got Reece James in your team, haven't you? So you've got to then look for, obviously, he is significantly more, Trent is significantly more than Reece James. And again, Trent coming off the bench just proves that Jurgen Klopp took him off in that game, not because of an injury, because he was getting done down that right-hand side.
I think he's injured as well, though.
Injured, but he said he was going to be out for 2 weeks and he's back a week later on the bench and comes on. So there was obviously something from Jurgen Klopp there, maybe mentally, to go, right, let's just take him out for a week and then put him back in. But as fantasy-wise, again, I'm not spending 7.5 million on a defender that hasn't returned all season.
It's a fair enough point. It's a fair enough point.
Don't get me wrong, Trent is someone that I'm looking at and going, well, if I can get him back in, because obviously maybe before the World Cup, that run of games is very nice. I don't think you'll get a better run of games in terms of any other team. But I'm looking at the other end of the pitch at Roberto Firmino, and I'm not saying I'm going to actively try and find a way to get him in my team, but his returns have been pretty good. And now that you say Jota and Diaz are both injured, for Roberto Firmino is going to be playing down the middle in every single game. So I would say it's an alternative to Salah. If you can't get Salah in your team and you want a cheaper option, then maybe Roberto Firmino is the way to go.
I don't know. I'm unconvinced. I'm a little bit unconvinced. I know you say like he's definitely going to be playing down the middle, but after watching Salah play quite centrally against Man City,
do you think Salah could play down the middle?
I think Salah's probably going to play down the middle, and it isn't beyond my imagination to imagine Darwin kind of playing down the middle. So does that mean
I forgot about Darwin.
that Firmino plays a little bit deeper, or he plays Harvey Elliott and Carvalho on the wings?
Should Darwin even play after that 3-on-1 move where he did not square it? What on earth is going on? I know he's obviously desperate to score, but Salah, if I was Salah, I would have been absolutely raging.
Yeah.
Just looking at Firmino's returns, in the last 6 game weeks, he's got 22, 9, 1, 12, 6 and 2.
Yeah.
And he hasn't actually played every single game in all those games. So I think I've completely forgot about Darwin, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But who else do they have to play in that further forward position?
Well, I think it's probably going to be Harvey Elliott, Salah, Darwin and Firmino. It's just whether or not Darwin is pushed wide.
Because out of the two, Darwin's more likely to be pushed wide than Roberto Firmino, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd think so, unless he plays Firmino and Darwin through the middle, goes back to Salah out wide, and then plays somebody like Carvalho out wide. I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Let us know what you're going to be doing with your Liverpool assets going forward. Are you going to be keeping them or bringing more in? Because it does feel like they're going to hit a bit of a purple patch now.
Right, the biggest fixture of these midweek Premier League games then, Joe, is your team, Manchester United against Spurs. A huge fixture at Old Trafford. Now, you've actually won the last 3 games against Spurs quite convincingly as well.
Yeah.
And a certain Cristiano Ronaldo has scored in each of the last 2. He scored in the last. He got a hat-trick in this exact fixture last season, and he scored 1 away. So is this like I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're going to say, no, don't put Cristiano Ronaldo in your team. But just seems to score. Maybe is it just against Spurs? I don't know.
No, it's not just against Spurs, because he is obviously a player for big moments, isn't he? And he loves the spotlight, which is exactly where he kind of shines and thrives and often delivers his best work. I just think United have a bit of a problem in the forward areas. I think United are actually playing all right at the moment.
Creativity a problem.
I don't even know that it's creativity. I think it's just finishing. Like the amount of chances United are creating and not scoring. I think across the course of the season so far, United have got something like a 9% conversion rate, which is like one of the lowest in the entirety of Europe's top 5 leagues. It's so bad. The chances they missed against Newcastle, the Rashford header, the Fred open goal, really, really poor. And Ronaldo's not really getting into those areas. And when he has got into those areas, I think back to the Ammonia game away from home where Dalot squares it to him on the 6-yard box. It's very un-Ronaldo-like. He's low on confidence. He's dropping in deep to get the ball when you want him in the box. So never discount him, but he's quite a premium asset.
Is he going to start? Is he going to start?
I think he probably will start just because Martial is still injured, and I would imagine Rashford comes back in on the left-hand side now. He's got over that illness and replaces Jadon Sancho. And I think you'll probably see a front line of Ronaldo, Rashford, and Antony on the right. So I think he'll start. I think it's a risk to go there given his valuation. I still think Rashford is a much better option at 6.6 million. Because he still looks dangerous. When he came on against Newcastle midweek, he looked really, really dangerous. Got in behind numerous times. And if there's a player that's going to cause that Tottenham backline trouble, I think it is going to be Marcus Rashford.
I think this is really interesting because these are 2 teams that love to play on the counter-attack. And Man United are at home. So do you think you'll set up having a lot of the ball and Spurs will be the ones that hit on the counter? And in that case, surely that plays into Spurs' hands. And someone like Harry Kane, who also really enjoys scoring against Manchester United. Yeah,
I think United are going to try and dominate the ball. I think that's what Erik ten Hag actually wants to do with this side, but he's just not had the assets available to do it so far this season. It's going to largely depend if Christian Eriksen's back, whether or not they can do that. Obviously, he had an illness. We haven't yet, as we're recording this now, seen the press conference from Ten Hag to tell us whether he is over that illness or not. But I agree. I think Tottenham assets are pretty good against Manchester United. I think United are going to set up quite advanced, and if they can break that first line, Kane and Son, serious money.
And I'm thinking, I know you've got Perišić, haven't you, in your team? Now, I haven't got him, but if you've still got Reece James in your team because you weren't sure what to do with him, Perišić could be a good option because listening to Antonio Conte's press conference, he almost hinted at maybe Perišić playing as a 3 in attack. So up, rather than a wing back, because Emerson's now back, I think playing in a front three of Kane, Son and Perišić, which then makes him even more appealing because he's then literally playing as a
Yeah, I would be surprised to see that happen. I'm not going to lie. I think Tottenham, I would be really surprised if they don't line up like they did away at Brighton when they had that three-man midfield of
and then just
Højbjerg,
Kane and
Bentancur,
Son.
and Basuma, and try and pack that midfield out where United have Eriksen and Bruno are trying to create space. I think I do like Perišić, and I've had him for quite a few game weeks now, but he is a rotation risk.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Like when Sessegnon just suddenly pops up
For
on the
a
team
random
sheet, it's
game,
so
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
It is so frustrating. Like it wouldn't be a massive surprise to me to see Sessegnon selected in this fixture, and that kind of speaks volumes about whether or not he's a good pick, I think.
So you would potentially say don't go for Perišić just yet, because
a
there's
risk.
probably other players that are nailed on to start every single week.
Yeah, and it's also, is this the best fixture to be bringing Perišić in for Manchester United away from home? I think he's a really good player, Perišić, but if he's not guaranteed to start and it's United away, I'm not the biggest fan of bringing him in right now.
I mean, I'm going to say, going back to game week 5, 1-1-2, 1-1-8. So actually, and I know he hasn't played, one of the games he played 6 minutes. So I know it's not
the problem.
It's not all, but I mean, potentially, maybe just one to keep your eye on. Newcastle, Bournemouth are the next 2 after that.
Liverpool.
And then Liverpool. But I think Ivan Perišić is definitely one to keep an eye on, but maybe if you're looking for a Reece James replacement, he gets forward, he gets into good positions, and if he's playing in a front three, then that makes him even more appealing. But maybe just hold on to...
Yeah, maybe just hold on for the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your score prediction? Let's get a score prediction for the game, because this is a big fixture. Man United have got a really big week. Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea. This is a huge game.
Yeah, I'm going to go a draw. I'm going to sit on the fence and go 2-2 draw.
I quite fancy a draw.
But I think it'll be high scoring because, I mean...
Do you?
Well, I think so. I think
it's
if
two
you
quite
can take
solid defensive sides.
I mean, to be honest, having watched actually Spurs against Everton, that was like, Everton just sat back and Spurs really struggled to break them down. And also weren't that great on the counter-attack. Didn't have... I know they had a few chances and they obviously ended up scoring 2 goals, but it wasn't as convincing. So maybe it won't be high scoring, but I'm going to draw. What are you going? You've got to go.
I'm going 2-1 United.
Nice.
I'm going 2-1 United, and I reckon Marcus Rashford gets them both.
Love that. Let us know what you think the score's going to be, who you think is going to win.
Right, let's move on to game week 12 dilemmas, because there is a lot now that Manchester City and Arsenal have a blank this week. A lot of you guys at home are probably sat there thinking, I've only got 7 or 8 fit players available, especially after this man. Did you dirty Liv?
The 94th minute, and it was a really bad dive as well. There was just absolutely no need for it, and he has messed up completely and utterly messed up, because I wanted to keep him, and I know Leicester aren't that good, but I was actually, Leeds at home was like a really good fixture, and I was tempted by the captaincy with James Maddison.
What?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying I would have done it. I probably would have still kept Kane against Man United. But I looked at that fixture and just thought, if he continues his good form, then actually maybe. But I now have to take him out. I mean, he was at Crystal Palace 0-0. It was a pretty poor game, to be honest. And James Maddison didn't really do much. But
it's an extra headache though. Now if you've got 4 or 5 Arsenal and City players out, and you've got Maddison suspended, it's just an extra headache you don't need.
So now I've got to take it. So I was probably going to take a -4 anyway, like potentially, well, maybe not, because I could have just kept Maddison in and maybe changed one of my defenders for a better defender. I am going to be playing with 10 players this week, because I have Saliba, Martinelli, Haaland, and Cancelo. And long term, I don't want to take any of them out. So I just thought, there's no point me wasting a transfer to get Saliba out, to do a 1-week punt just to get Saliba in back next week. I just don't think it makes any sense. But with James Maddison, I mean, the replacements... I had this guy from the start, and everyone was having a go at me.
Bias.
Yeah, and maybe now is the time. 7.7. He's gone down 0.3. Yeah. Back-to-back double-digit hauls for Mason Mount. He is slowly getting back to his best. He's finding himself in really good positions, and he's getting goals and assists, which is something we weren't seeing at the start of the season. So, being a Chelsea fan, I am tempted by Mason Mount.
I think Mason Mount's a really good option if you...
Those fixtures aren't the greatest.
Exactly what I was about to say. I think Mason Mount is a really good option if you've got like other Chelsea players that are underperforming maybe. But I think if you're going to Mason Mount from, let's say you've got Phil
James
Foden,
Maddison though.
Yeah, if you've got James Maddison, I just still think there are better options on the market
than
who? Those players. Well, if you're willing to hold out on James Maddison for one more week,
no, I'm not.
You can bring in Phil Foden for less. And Phil Foden is going to outscore Mason Mount across the course of this season. absolutely convinced about that.
He's only like 15 points ahead of him.
But given the positions he's
and
getting
Mason Mount's had a really poor start to the season by his own standards. So actually...
I also think Jarrod Bowen is still a really good option at a similar price point before the weekend, where they definitely should have had a penalty as well, and he would have taken it. He'd scored in 4 consecutive games for West Ham. Obviously, 2 of those were in the Europa, but still think he's a really good pickup. Yeah. And I'm convinced Scamacca is going to go on a heavy run soon. I really like him.
Yeah, Scamacca obviously is a striker, so if you're gonna, you've got to then take out an extra player if you want to get Scamacca in. I was at the Southampton.
Jesus or something.
Yeah, I was at the Southampton West Ham game, and he did have a few good chances, and he wasn't hitting the target, which is, you've got to make the keeper work in those situations, but he is getting those chances. Bowen, I do actually really like. West Ham's away form isn't that great. I think they've only picked up 1 win against Villa in the Premier League this season, and they go to Liverpool. So again, I don't want Jarrod Bowen. I could see myself having long term, but do I want him for away at Liverpool? I'm not sure. Leandro Trossard is another one that people have pumped just for literally a 1 week pump, because they've then got City and Chelsea. But do you know what I mean?
We're missing 3 though under Zerbi.
And I just don't know about 1 week punts. I'm just not about 1 week punts. If I'm going to take a -4, I want someone that's going to be in my team for the next 3 or 4 game weeks at least.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that Forest at home is the most tempting fixture ever, isn't it? But with City and Chelsea to follow them, I think it is a risk. I think overall, you just got to try your best to get as many outfield players as you can. Even if you've only got 10, I think you're actually going to be all right. Because there are going to be people playing with 8 or 9.
Yeah. So what's your team? What's your team?
I've still got a full 11. I'll have a full.
And are you happy with your 11?
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with my 11. Obviously, I won't have Haaland, which is the key point scorer, and I'm going to need Callum Wilson to turn up, but I'm pretty happy. I'm going to have a full 11, and I'm not too sure how I'm going to captain, so maybe we can discuss that now, actually.
Yes, let's do it.
So talking to captains, we were just having a look at our teams there. They are very similar.
I don't know how this has happened. We've got very similar. We've got a lot of the same players.
I'm really tempted by Callum Wilson at home to Everton. I still think when he gets his chances, he takes them. He's one of the outstanding strikers in the league for that level of side. I know that he has a lot of injury problems, but now he's back fit, I still back him to return. I know that he hasn't been a huge point scorer this season, but if you look at him when he has played, Fulham away, he should have scored against Manchester United. Obviously, if they got that penalty, he would have taken that penalty, and it was a penalty. Yeah. I think at home to Everton, that's probably the best fixture of the week. But then do you take it off Kane?
I am not going to take it off Kane, purely because I don't have Callum Wilson. I really like the option of Callum Wilson. He's got returns been back for 3 games, and he's got returns in 2 of them. Yeah. Kieran Trippier could be a bold captain pick. But I suppose this is the week for bold captain picks, because you're not really going safe with anyone, because this whole season, the safe captain pick has been Erling Haaland. And we sort of went rogue this week and captained Kane. And for me, for that same reason, I think I'm just going to, even though the fixture, the fixture is United, but he's got a really good record of scoring against United. I cannot look at those returns. It's out of this world. He hasn't returned once this season, the first game of the season. That is it.
I know.
9 goals, 2 assists.
He's on amazingly good form. And I just think United are going to concede. So if United do concede, he will have scored, especially with those breakaway goals, or he'll at least get an assist, that ball over the top to Son. So I'm very torn between Wilson and Kane. It's a toss of a coin. Let me know what you would do.
Yeah,
Kane or Wilson?
Yeah, I think that's tough because I don't have Wilson, so I'm definitely swaying towards Kane. However, I have got Alexander Mitrovic, and he was obviously back. I've never been so nervous watching someone take a penalty, having Alexander Mitrovic in my team. Obviously missed the previous game week 10. Hasn't been the greatest since I bought him in. This happens, honestly. I think I bought in Nick Pope, and he'd had like 4 clean sheets in a row, and he literally concedes for 3 games in a row. So that was great. But no, I am quite tempted by Mitrovic at home to Villa. Villa are really struggling, albeit it was a better performance against Chelsea.
If Gerrard loses there.
Is that game over? Yeah, but I say I'm tempted by Alexander Mitrovic. I'm probably going to captain Harry Kane, because looking at my team, there's just no one else that's really jumping out of me, and I feel like I've got to carry on with Kane. So let us know who you are going to captain for this game week, because for once it's not going to be Erling Haaland. So that is it. Game week 12 kicks off tonight. The first game is at 7:30, which means the deadline for FPL is at 6 o'clock. Do not forget.
Yes,
You're
please
not going
don't
to forget,
forget.
are you?
Fingers crossed I won't. You forgot last week, obviously. Don't do it this week. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, hit subscribe. We'll see you later. Bye.